Hello, Sachem. This is my son, Darren.
And this is my dad, Sal.
And we're so grateful to be back here again and talking with you about our favorite subject, which is comedy. And we're going to be talking about our 5 favorite comedians today. He doesn't know my list. I don't know his list. And we're going to challenge each other about what is funny, who is funny, why they're funny. Sound good?
Yeah,
Okay.
But one stipulation. So 5 funny people. Because I wasn't stipulating that they had to be a comedian. I'm just looking for funny. And this goes into how did you develop your list? Because I know my rules and parameters, but how did you go about selecting?
I was really leaning towards second bananas.
Really?
There's great second bananas out there. As an example, Michael Richards on Seinfeld, Art Carney on the Honeymooners. There are certain people that when they appear on the screen, you can't wait for them to be there, and you know they're always going to do something crazy. And think about this, with Michael Richards, whenever he came in, he never knocked. He just flew into the room, the door went flying open, and in came Kramer. And
Art
Carney did the same thing 30, 40 years earlier.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting. Okay, give me your first.
Okay, so we're going to work bottom up, right? Number 5?
Okay,
bottom up. So
Okay.
this is my 5th. Martin Short.
I like Martin Short.
Martin Short, yeah. It's the 5th place, so he had to fight to stay on this list.
Yeah.
My runner-up was really close, but Martin Short had to take it. If he's going to be in a movie, I'm going to be laughing, and I can pretty much guarantee that.
Yeah. Three Amigos is a great example of his work. He wasn't as well known as Chevy Chase and Steve Martin when that movie came out. He held his own. But more so, what I want you to do, everybody out there, look up Jiminy Glick. Jiminy Glick is a fictitious character that Martin Short created, and there are tons of clips of him on the internet. He's interviewing everybody from Jerry Seinfeld to Mel Brooks. He interviews them in character. Now, Jiminy Glick is a outrageous, overweight character. If you saw him, you would not think that it was Martin Short. The makeup, the prosthetics they put on him is amazing.
But his timing, his pacing, his sense of humor is just, it's outstanding.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's what actually got him on the list. It was Jiminy Glick specifically. Because I love him in Father of the Bride. I love the Franck character. I even was laughing, talking this over with my wife, and we were remembering he did the intro to Canada at the Canadian Pavilion in Epcot for Disney World.
That's right.
And he just had a little throwaway of having, I have a couple of tickets for Soarin', I'd hate to miss it. And it's just so funny guy, very, very funny. Oh, and I have to say, what about when he just railroads Jerry Lewis?
I knew it.
Jerry Lewis.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah.
Check it out. It was the Muscular Dystrophy Telethon. Martin Short as Jiminy Glick is interviewing Jerry Lewis. It's on the internet. If you want to see Jerry Lewis speechless, that's it.
He does the right thing. Jerry does the right thing. He knows to hand over the mic and stage and let him go into it.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing.
It's funny because initially Jerry is trying to be Jerry, but then he realizes he can't keep up with Martin Short.
No, Martin is just improvising, and he's so fast.
And that's the other part we didn't mention. It's all unscripted. Everything you're going to see him do as Jiminy Glick, that's all unscripted.
So he deserves to be on my list, and that's number 5.
Okay.
What's your 5th?
And talking about unscripted, I had to put Don Rickles on my list.
He's your 5th place?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason being, many moons ago, when I was just beginning into business and I was just wanting to be a stand-up, and he was appearing at Westbury Music Fair. This is when he was just skyrocketing. It was just when he first was being recognized on the Dean Martin show. Dean Martin gave him an entire episode just for himself, and they invited everybody to be in the audience so Don could insult everybody. Everyone was there, from Frank Sinatra, Dom DeLuise, Angie Dickinson. I can't even go through it, but that's also on the internet. Check it out. This is the way America saw Don Rickles first. And it was something that all the people in the audience had already seen this, because Rickles was a standout in Las Vegas doing that act. It was Dean Martin that brought him to the mainstream, opened up the door and said, do what you do.
Yep.
And again, we always talk about comedians being able to be dramatic actors. He started out doing dramatic roles, Run Silent, Run Deep, The Man with the X-Ray Eyes. He was in a lot of dramatic films until he got that break where he could be himself. Yeah. And there's never going to be another Don Rickles, period. In the world that we're in today, there is never going to be another Don Rickles.
I'd love to be proven wrong.
Yeah. I can't imagine anybody filling his shoes. I just can't imagine. Okay.
Yeah, all right. So this is my 4th place, and it goes to Rowan Atkinson.
Oh, boy.
I know. And so most of you will know him as Mr. Bean, but he's a lot more than just that. I appreciate him in Blackadder. Rowan Atkinson Live, if you've never seen that, it's a bunch of vignettes.
I hope you're writing these names down as you're watching this.
Yeah.
Because by the time we get to the end here, you're going to have a lot of great names and great movies that you can watch.
Yeah.
Great movies that you can watch and have a good laugh.
Yep.
And we all need a laugh right now.
We do.
Right.
Rowan Atkinson Live, a bunch of skits and routines that are outstanding and great comedy, very good sense of humor. You get to see him talking. He's not in the Mr. Bean character, so it's really...
Explain Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean,
that's it.
What I take away from Mr. Bean, of course, he is a silent character, but it's physical comedy and it is structured comedy. It's so smart. And the fact that he's a writer is what puts him on 4th place on my list. He's instrumental to that part and to that show. So we would not have Mr. Bean without his sensibilities of comedy.
Yeah. And the Mr. Bean character, I think if I remember, it was a BBC program. I think only 8 episodes were made, and that was enough to skyrocket this gentleman to stardom. Did you know that Rowan Atkinson was in a James Bond movie opposite Sean Connery? No, I knew you didn't know that. He made a movie called Never Say Never Again. Rowan Atkinson was the comic relief in that movie, playing opposite Sean Connery as James Bond. Check out that movie. You'll have another laugh with Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah, he's just great. If you've never seen Mr. Bean...
I'll give you one funny scene. He's trying to be, it's Bond. He's James Bond. And Rowan Atkinson is playing this very inept secret agent. And he's looking for Bond. And he's across this plaza. And he goes, Mr. Bond, Mr. Bond. And he's going, and Sean Connery said, let's be a little more discreet. He's yelling his name out to everybody. It was funny. Rowan Atkinson. Okay.
Yep, takes 4th.
Okay. I got to tell you, when I was saying about Second Bananas, they gave him a TV show at Bomb, they gave him another TV show at Bomb, they gave him another TV show at Bomb. He just is not the kind of person that can hold a lead role, but put him up with somebody or some people, and you can't beat Tim Conway. You just can't beat Tim Conway. I got you.
No, he was... so I have honorable mentions, and we'll get to them later.
Yeah.
And yeah, he just didn't make it.
Tim Conway, when you read what he's done and see how what they would do with the Carol Burnett show is they would film the show on Friday night, and they would do 2 shoots. They would do a 5 o'clock, and then they would follow it up with a 7 o'clock. They would bring in 2 separate audiences. Now, Carol knew she had a crazy person on her staff named Tim Conway. The agreement they made between she and Tim is at the 5 o'clock shoot, he would do the sketch the way the writers put it together. he would do it exactly the way they wrote it. At 7 o'clock, she gave him carte blanche to do whatever he wanted. That is why you'll see Harvey Korman sitting in a dentist chair hysterical because he has no idea what this crazy man is about to do to him. So when we talk about people that can just go and just do off the top of their head, I got two of them so far. Don Rickles, Tim Conway. Oh my God. I can't, and I'll give you another example. With Tim Conway, they put him in a series of movies with another great one. I could have put him on my list, Don Knotts. And he made a series of films with Don Knotts, and they were all very successful. I think they were for Disney, as a matter of fact. The Apple Dumpling Gang.
Don did a lot for Disney.
Yeah. So just watch Tim Conway with Don Knotts, and you'll get double the laughs. Okay.
And all of the clips from the Carol Burnett show. Just, they're fantastic.
Yeah, if you want to laugh, I show it at all my lectures. Look up Tim Conway, The Elephant Story, and that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. It's basically that 7 o'clock show where Tim is on a rant. It goes on for like 10 minutes. Carol can't hold it in. She's laughing.
Dick Van Dyke.
Dick Van Dyke has taken over for Harvey Korman. Of course, Harvey left the show, believe it or not, to make movies with some guy named Mel Brooks. Anyway, Harvey's gone, Dick Van Dyke is there, and Vicki Lawrence, I want you to pay attention. If you watch that clip, watch Vicki Lawrence, because she's an unsung hero in comedy, in female comedy. And I don't believe in separating it female and male. If you're funny, you're funny. And what she did, if you don't know the story of Vicki, she was in high school and she heard about Carol Burnett getting her show, and she wrote a letter to Carol Burnett and said, everybody tells me I look like you. I would love to work for you. I don't care if I have to work in the costume department, or help you with makeup, or help you backstage. Anything I can do, I just want to be part of this new show you're putting together. Well, Carol took it serious, went to her high school when she was doing a performance. She didn't know she was in the audience. Vicki didn't know she was there. Carol saw her, knew she had the chops. 18 years old, just out of high school, and now she's working up against Tim Conway and Harvey Korman and Lyle Wagner and all the guest stars and her idol, Carol Burnett. And she taught herself something. She refused to let herself laugh. She didn't want to laugh. She didn't want to be the one that broke up a scene. So she taught herself to really contain herself. So when you watch this Elephant Story, and she's playing Mama, it takes place with Mama's family, and Carol is playing Eunice. Watch Dick Van Dyke, he's hysterical. Watch Carol Burnett, she can't even look at the camera. She's got her head down most of the time because she's laughing so much. But watch Vicki, because she just gets herself and she just will stay very stoic. And in a subsequent interview years later, she said Carol got everybody together one day when they were about to do this particular sketch, and Carol said, "Don't let him get you this time. I don't want you nobody laugh." And Vicki said, "Who was the first one to break? It was Carol." It's a good story. I like
it is. Yeah. And she's the one that puts the button on that scene.
Yeah.
Tim Conway is the genius who built it, and she's the one who knows how to finish it.
Yeah, and you got to remember, we watched Vicki Lawrence grow up on that show. She was on there for 11 years. She worked with everybody from Jimmy Stewart and every guest star that they had, and she held her own. So I have a soft spot for Vicki Lawrence. Terrific.
And it should also be noted, though, talking about this scene and these stories from Carol Burnett. So Cassandra is behind the camera right now and was just biting her lip, trying not to laugh, just thinking of these scenes. So they're worth checking out. My number 3, no surprise, he's on my list. Robin Williams.
Ah, Robin Williams. Oh my gosh. Go ahead.
Robin Williams, yeah. I mean, what, do we need to explain this? So, Robin Williams, he could be on my list for Mrs. Doubtfire, which I know almost every line. He could be on for Hook. He could be on for Aladdin. He could be on for his more dramatic roles. We were just watching Dead Poets Society, all of these things. Of course, he could be on because I grew up in the 90s, so he's everywhere at that point. Mork and Mindy is phenomenal, but he had to be on here for his performance live on Broadway.
Yeah.
Robin Williams live on Broadway. And I don't think it's 60 minutes, I think it's 90 minutes.
Yeah.
But either way, it is just him straight. He does not leave the stage and he does not quit with the jokes. He knows how to tell stories. It's dynamic, it's robust, energetic. God, he just fires on all cylinders all the time and knows how to control it. And that's what's so impressive.
I don't know. Robin, because you're younger, this generation is going to remember that Robin made his first network appearance on Happy Days. Yeah. And because of his character and his performance, they said, we've got to put something together for him, and this guy's out of this world. Oh man, let's make him work, you know? And that's essentially how they didn't have to do much more with it. Now, Robin, very he was very, very straightforward with the fact that he owed everything that he was doing to another great comedian, and that was Jonathan Winters. And Jonathan Winters, you can't beat him. And the idea, again, look online, look up Jonathan Winters. You can look at Robin too, but look at Jonathan Winters, especially on the early Jack Paar shows. Jack Paar will hand him something, a hat, a stick, and he'll do 10 minutes with that object. He never knew what he was going to be getting, and he could do it. And Robin was the same way. Yeah. Robin was the same way. And we spoke about Robin recently. His relationship with Billy Crystal all culminated because of Comic Relief. And you don't remember Comic Relief.
Not just the history of it.
Yeah, but we looked forward to seeing that show because he, Billy Crystal, and Whoopi Goldberg, they were the cornerstone of the program. They held it all together, but you never knew what Robin was going to do.
Yeah.
And Billy kept up with him.
Also, watching a Robin Williams performance, if it's dramatic or comedic, I always feel like no one else could have taken on that part. He makes it his own. It's so unique each time. Yeah. Each time. It just feels like every role is catered to his sensibilities, but no, he just knows how to bring out the best of himself and put it on camera.
I gotta make a confession, and many people don't realize this. Robin was a genius at what he did, but he wasn't a fool. He was a very smart comedian. And he would go to comedy clubs and perfect 3 or 4 minutes before he went on to the Carson show. He wanted to go there with material. He knew where he was heading. He'll ad-lib in between all that, but he had the skeleton. He would put the flesh on once he got there. But he always perfected something that he was going to do new on the Carson show. Which
is not uncommon for comics to do, but it shows how professional and how seriously he took this to seem spontaneous at all times. Yeah. It takes work. It takes a lot of work. Yeah. All right, you're number 3.
Okay. All right.
Are you deciding right now?
No, because I was going to change it, but I've got to do it. All right, I'm going to go with Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder? Yeah. Okay. All right. I mean,
yeah.
Go ahead.
We never had an opportunity to see Gene. He never played a dramatic part. He made tons of movies. There were elements of that, of his sensibilities, because there are parts of Willy Wonka that are pretty dark. And he plays it really well.
It feels like all of his characters are dramatic until they're hysterical.
Because he knows how to. He's just playing it as if it was happening to him at that moment. Mm-hmm. When we first saw Gene Wilder, it was in Bonnie and Clyde. And believe it or not, even that movie, which was pretty dramatic, he was the comic relief. He was the comic relief in that movie. And from there, we went to the producers, and that was it. That was the rocket that he needed. Now, a lot of people don't realize this. He wasn't supposed to be in Blazing Saddles. He wasn't. It was Gig Young. Gig Young was supposed to be the Waco Kid.
Waco Kid.
And Gig Young came in the first day. He had a drinking problem. He was intoxicated, and Mel had to let him go. He knew Gene from the producers. He called him up. Can you be here tomorrow? He sent him the script. On the flight over, he memorized his lines, and he came in the next day and he started filming. That's how quickly he did it. Wow.
He also was no slouch because he had one caveat to taking on this role, and that's their next movie. That's his movie.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to get into it. We can do that. Yeah, while they were making Blazing Saddles, he did a favor for Mel by coming in and helping him get this movie made. And think about it, I can't even imagine somebody else playing that part with Gene Wilder and Cleavon Little with a perfect matchup. But he went to Mel and he said, you know, I've been working on a script. Would you take a look at it? I think it's got possibilities. It's called Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And Mel, knowing comedy and knowing what he could possibly do, the rest is history.
Yeah.
But that all originated with Gene Wilder. That was his baby, and Mel jumped in on it, directed it, and everything else.
All right, that's your number 3?
Yeah.
All right, number 2. I don't know if you've heard of him, Don Rickles. I'm shocked he was so far down on your list, number 5. I mean, these are all great people, but Don Rickles, everything you said, I echo that, and he makes me laugh. I can almost guarantee, which is the reason he's not number 1, but I can almost guarantee I could pull up any clip of his on YouTube and start laughing. He's just magnetic and heartfelt, despite, I mean, he is Mr. Warmth. That's a wonderful moniker for him.
Yeah.
Just
I love when they played the Toreador song when he came in. Yeah. Did I mention that when I met him? No.
No.
Okay.
No, I think you were about to.
I was about to,
Yep.
and then I got sidetracked.
Yep.
So, my story of Don Rickles, I was trying to get into business, so to speak, and he was appearing at Westbury. I went there. I'm telling you, if you've never seen Don Rickles live, TV washes it down. Live, there's nothing stopping him. He's just hysterical. I remember laughing so much I had to get up and stand in the aisle. That's how much I was laughing. Anyway, I wanted to meet him. I went backstage. Totally accessible. There was nothing stopping. There were no guards. I tried doing this with Bob Hope, and they had guards everywhere. You couldn't even get close to Bob Hope. I go back there. I knock on his door. He opens it, and he's wearing a bathrobe, and he had a towel around his neck. He was soaked from doing the show. And I told him what I wanted to do, and he said, "Kid, all you have to do, it's real simple." He said, "Get an audience. I don't care if you have to stand in the middle of a parking lot and draw people. If you go to the supermarket, get people. Just keep doing the material over and over again. The more you do it, the funnier you're going to be." And that was the truth. And I use that advice all the time. It's the absolute truth. You don't know what's funny until you let the audience hear it. We just had this with Billy Crystal. We were talking about when Harry met Sally, and he said that famous scene that everybody talks about, I'll have what she's having, he said we filmed that nearly a year earlier. And the day that it was coming out, he and the director, Rob Reiner, went to the theater to watch the movie, and that scene came up, and the place exploded. I'll have what she's having, the place exploded. And he said, that's the thing about doing movies. You're filming it like a year earlier, and it takes you that much longer, a year later, to hear the laugh. And that's why I believe a lot of these stand-ups will return to, even though they have a movie career and they have everything else, they start moving away from the movies and they go back to doing stand-up. I think they like the immediacy of it. I love the immediacy of it. And yes, we enjoy being here with you, but there's nothing like us being with you. And we can't wait to get back together again.
Yeah, it's true. A few more things I just wanted to say about Don Rickles. Aside from all the comedy and the laughs, I'm really happy watching him in Kelly's Heroes. And he's still a comic there, but that's a great movie. Casino, he plays a dramatic part, and it's still fun to watch him. He doesn't tear anybody up there.
Yeah.
Toy Story, it always makes me smile hearing him in the background.
Yeah. I don't know if the viewers know this, but he passed away, and they were doing Toy Story 4. They never had an opportunity to start recording him, and they wanted him in the movie so much that they went through all the outtakes from the first 3 movies, and they put them all together, all his dialogue with things that he had said previously that were cut out of the other movies.
Well, he has a big mouth. I'm sure that wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
The last one, most people, if they look for Don Rickles online, they're probably going to get the Dean Martin roasts, which are great. But I really appreciate the relationship between him and Carson. I just like seeing them on screen together. I think their comedy together is really sharp.
There's a funny story about, they were best of friends, Carson and Don Rickles. And Don Rickles was on his show one night.
Oh, the cigarette box?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's being Don Rickles, and he's using Carson's cigarette box.
Carson is not there that night.
Yeah, it was Bob Newhart was the guest host. And he picks up the cigarette box and he's acting like he's stamping things, and he hits it so hard it breaks. The next day, Carson comes back, he finds the broken cigarette box. Doc Severn said, well, that was Don Rickles. He did it last night. And the next thing you know, Carson takes a portable crew. They leave the studio. Everybody's watching, and he goes next door where they're filming CPO Sharkey, his program, and he confronts him about the broken cigarette box. It's online.
It's wonderful. Yeah, it's wonderful.
It is.
And you see Rickles really get a laugh out of it.
Yeah. Okay.
You're number 2.
1?
No, you're number 2.
My number 2. Okay, I'm going to go with him. Definitely. Buddy Hackett.
Yeah? Yeah.
I have to go with Buddy Hackett. You know, they say a comic, what's the saying? A comedian, a comic says funny things, a comedian says things funny. And he says things funny. And every time I think about him, I think of It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. Because he has one line in there, and now he's up against everybody. They're all there. Mickey Rooney, Sid Caesar, all the great Uncle Milty. They're all around there, and he has one line that he has to say, and the line is every time we try to figure it,
somebody don't like the way we figure it.
Yeah, and that was it. It was the way he said figure it. And just watch the movie again. You'll see a classic comic taking an ordinary line and making it funny.
Yeah. He was on my short list. He is. And when you said earlier about second bananas, he's maybe can he be the top second banana?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Number 1. I think this will surprise you.
Okay.
John Pinette.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He made some movies, but he's mostly known for his stage work.
He is. He's known for stand-up. He is, the most comic that I have on this list. Because that's really what he's known for. He did star in Hairspray on Broadway. He did a lot of theater, as you said.
He's a rather large stand-up comedian. You'll see him online. He's very, very funny.
Yeah, I can't help it. If I'm going to put him on, it doesn't matter what. I think he has 5 shows. Unfortunately, he passed back in 2014, I think. But it doesn't matter which of his shows come on or which jokes. It's all, for the most part, it's all family friendly.
Yeah.
It's all very clean. He just has a wonderful sense of humor. It's It's lighthearted and it's fantastic. But he was the first person I thought of when we just sat down to do this list.
Okay.
Yeah. And did you know he was actually on Jerry Lewis's telethon?
Oh, yeah.
So, how did you find him? I'm curious.
Oh, I just remember seeing him years ago. A lot of these guys, they were just all coming out of the woodwork at the same time. Mm-hmm. And certain comedians like John, he just stood out. There was just something about him. Watch him talking about going to a buffet. That's the best. If I said go on YouTube, John Pinette, going to a buffet, you'll be laughing. You'll be laughing.
And he talks about it a lot. Like, I'll confess, his material is repetitive. He comes back to the same well. He's rehashing the same jokes. I don't care. It's just funny. He'll spin it different ways, and I love hearing the same jokes done twice by any comic.
Yeah.
I love looking at the dates, which one came first, because you know that you're watching them learn. This joke has changed. They've changed the intonation, the pacing, a word, and it's because of experience. And there are a few examples with him that you can go back and do that.
Yeah. And that's the sign of a good comedian.
It is.
You keep perfecting your material, tightening it up. And that's really what we're talking about. Tightening the material to make it funnier and funnier and funnier.
Yeah.
My number one.
Drum roll.
Don't need it. I really appreciate everybody we've talked about right now. But somehow I felt I wanted to go back to the source. And there was nobody that made me laugh more when I was in college than Buster Keaton. I love Buster Keaton. Think about it. This is before movies were movies. They were creating it on their feet. They didn't have a specific script. He was putting together intricate stunts because he was an acrobat himself that nobody else could do. Nobody could do what he did. People would emulate him, like Harold Lloyd in Safety Last, hanging off the side of a building, but that was done with tricks. When you're watching Buster, he could have, there were times where he could have lost his life with some of the things that he was doing for a laugh, just to get us, and just watch Sherlock Jr., watch One Week, watch The General. You have to watch The General. And The General, if you don't know about it, it's a movie about the Civil War and a runaway railroad. And
I think it still holds a Guinness World Record for filmmaking as the biggest crash.
It might be.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know it holds a record for something.
Yeah. Anyway, check out Buster Keaton. Don't think because it's silent. And it's a shame, his career took a U-turn and he ended up working for MGM. He had his own studio and then he ended up working for MGM and they just watered him down. They paired him up with Jimmy Durante. But he eventually got back on his feet again. He made those beach blanket movies with Annette and Frankie Avalon. And then he even did Twilight Zone episodes where he showed his dramatic skills. Buster Keaton.
Yeah, I was curious who would be number one, the Great Stone Face.
And you?
My number one, we did. John Pinette.
Oh,
yeah, we did me first. That's easy.
You mean it's over?
Well, I have some honorable mentions.
Okay.
So these were names that came up, and again, as I was saying, not all of them are comics, and some I think will even just surprise you in general. My number 6, this is the only other number I have, and it's who was fighting out for 5th place. Gracie Allen.
Yeah.
Gracie Allen, man, I really wanted her to be number 5, but as we said, Jiminy Glick is just too funny.
You know who was my Gracie Allen? Harpo Marx. I remember again seeing, I had the benefit when I was growing up, they had what they call mini cinemas all over the island. There was one in Uniondale where you could see all the classic movies on a big screen. It was so
They just showed
good.
classic movies?
Just classic movies, that's all it was. Some nights you can go there and all they did was show you hours and hours of trailers. It was just trailers, just all strung together. But it was fun, Anyway, Harpo, I can still remember seeing him the first time. And it was the scene from night in Casablanca. And he's standing against the wall and he's like this, and a cop comes by, hey, what are you doing? Holding up that building? Move on. And he lets go and the whole building comes down. I just thought it was a great gag. Anyway.
It's interesting that you say that after your number one is Buster Keaton.
Yeah.
I mean, those are both physical gags by silent comics
Yeah.
and dealing with the physicality of something large.
Yes. And the problem I had with Harpo is it's hard to take him away from Chico and Groucho.
But,
the three of them.
But we would be able to say, we're getting stage directions, keep our papers down.
Okay.
But we would be able to say Groucho.
Yeah. Groucho, because he had a career going beyond
Outside of that.
the Marx Brothers.
Yeah.
But very interesting.
So those are our number six, but here are the honorable mentions. And this is no particular order. John Cleese, Lucille Ball, Don Knotts, Tim Conway, Peter Sellers, Buddy Hackett, Hank Azaria, Joe Pesci. Right? Is that a weird one?
Yeah.
Fanny Brice, and of course Gilbert Gottfried.
Okay. The only person I'm going to throw in there, and he's out of favor right now. People don't really think he's funny anymore. But watch a movie called It's a Gift, starring W.C. Fields, and you'll gain a brand new affection for this classic comedian. Again, just like Don Rickles, just like Buddy Hackett, he was a one of a kind. There was only one W.C. Fields, and you could not copy his style because it was him. That was all his style. It's a Gift. Check it out. Funny movie.
So in order to make this list, I spent a lot of time, the past couple of weeks, and I just kept revising it and talking to Cassandra.
Yeah.
So she unofficially developed her own.
Uh-oh.
Right? So I'll go up from 5 to 1, and it turned out to be John Cleese, John Pinette, Hank Azaria, Ryan Reynolds, who I think she just has an affinity for, so she put him at number 2.
Yeah.
And speaking of handsome guys, Steve Martin takes first place.
Yeah. I would put Steve Martin in there too. I was trying not to go with the obvious, and that's why some of the names that I picked were kind of off the beaten track.
Yeah.
You don't hear about Buster Keaton, W.C. Fields anymore.
Well, that's even where I came to Joe Pesci. I mean, why is he being discussed with some of these comic greats?
I wouldn't.
Of course not,
Yeah.
but he's not a comic, but he is a funny person.
Yeah.
I mean, if you talk about some of the funniest movies of all time...
You think I'm funny?
Yeah, Cousin
You think
Vinny.
I'm funny?
And that drama comes from comedy.
Yeah, you're right.
He's so scary.
My cousin Vinny.
That's what I was going to say, is one of the funniest movies out there.
Yeah.
Who's going to...
And Marissa Tomei, she won the Oscar for that.
Yeah,
so.
perfect foil for that.
Yeah.
And then he comes back with Home Alone.
Yeah.
He learned how to take that gangster character and turn it into humor.
Play it funny.
Yeah. So, an odd one.
Okay, thank you so much, Sachem. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope you learned about a couple of movies that you may have not have seen, a couple of comedians you may not have heard of.
Did we miss anybody? Tell us in the comments.
Yeah, let us know what you think, and we look forward to seeing you again. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay positive. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.